to the final score with Stevie Fly.
What's up, guys? It's the final score. Look at that video, man. Screw Bo Jackson, man. Who could do all of that? I mean, football, baseball, basketball, coaching. I did it all. I mean, I've got to add a hockey one in there now. But guys, I hope you're having a good day today. It is Tuesday night, and hopefully we're going to have a big crowd in here tonight. We had a big crowd in here last night. Of course, we had a good show last night talking to NHL and gold medal hockey game with John Michael Timberlake. And we had a surprise guest come in. Taman Sawyer's Warren Meredith came in, and Tim and John pretty much took over the second half of that show, which was fine because I was just as lost as I could be in there. But one of the people that was in the chat last night and a big Carolina Hurricanes fan is our guest here tonight. And this is something we've been working on for a while. Want to get him on because I'm going to tell you guys, you don't realize how hard it is till you coach to get a good team, much less a state championship team. And this guy did five state championships in the 90s over there at Northeast Academy, the school I went to, school I coached at. And with me tonight is my pleasure and my honor to have with me tonight Troy Smith-Cedar, the legendary former Northeast Academy softball coach. What's up, Troy?
Hey, Stevie. Good to be here, man.
This is a guy I've known pretty much my whole life. His brother and me are like best friends. We've graduated together. We went to school. Just our whole school career was with him. And here's a little trivia question for you guys. You see that Final Score logo up in the corners there? Guess who designed that Final Score logo? Troy Smith, the head of TD Sports, which Troy has turned a backyard business into, I mean, just a big time success. We're gonna, gosh knows, if the way I'm talking, if that head gets any bigger right now, he won't be able to walk. But
anyway, get the wide angle lens out for me.
But just to give a little background, we talked about this before we came on. Troy not only coached softball, but Troy had a brief career as a basketball coach at Northeast, coached JV boys team, and I had the pleasure of being one of his players. Now, ninth grade year, first year I've ever played basketball, have no clue why he decided, guess what? The kid that hadn't played, I'm going to put him in the starting lineup. I appreciate it because it gave me confidence. I was like, okay, I'm doing this. And some stories that come from that year, because we had a really good team that year. We had a big team, and we ended up second in the conference to another team. But there were some stories there. I just remembered, I was telling this story the other night on the podcast when we were talking about you. We're playing that team that's so good, and this is like the big time matchup. Right in the locker room, right before the game, Troy comes out to me and says, "Their best player, your guard." And I'm like, my jaw just dropped. I'm like, what the heck? So he showed some confidence in me, and I appreciate it. But not only did he coached, excuse me, Karen Boone Wheeler, and JV girls. Did you coach JV girls?
Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that. I forgot about that. Somehow I forgot about that. But I coached with Troy for a year at JV football. That was my first year first of my 18, well, that would be 19 years. 19 years as a coach. That was my first venture into coaching the year after I graduated. And me and Troy, we come up with ideas back then because this was 1992, first year of 8-man football with Northeast, and we're coaching the JV team. So we decided, you know what? We're going to come all out on offense. No huddle the first 8 plays of the game, shotgun. And our varsity team looked at it when we started doing that, and they were like, "What the heck are they doing?" But it worked. I mean, we had a decent team that year. We had some good athletes, but
There wasn't many first series that we didn't score a touchdown on.
exactly.
Yeah.
We didn't have enough players. The story of Northeast. We didn't have enough players to really keep it going where we could keep the momentum for that. We won some games. We lost some close games, and I'm not going to get into why we lost one of those games because that's a funny story for later. Um, anyway, just I told Troy I was going to tell some stories about that ninth grade year because that was such a fun year for me. I mean, I dealt with some things my eighth grade year of sickness that I wasn't able to play football, but I wasn't able to play basketball. And to come back and do that, but talking about that team we finished runner up to, here comes Troy, and I'll never forget us going into that championship game, that tournament championship game. We played Halifax Academy, and we were playing at Hobgood, and the locker room before the game. You got to remember, this is like this team that we're playing. Halifax had just got this uh, big rush in enrollment, and they had what 15 players at least, Troy, maybe
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
And we
good
get
players.
that was about the time that movie Hoosiers came out, and I'll never forget it. Kevin Lobster coming in the locker room before the game, and read David and Goliath just like the guy at Hoosiers did, and from that on, we were just numb. We went out of that locker room. I remember people talking. There was guys from Halifax, the high school kids from Halifax, talking trash to us, and I mean it was just going right over top of us. Troy's strategy that night was we were not to shoot threes until he said so, and we stayed in that game. We played the closest game with them, but I got to go back to this one. I'm not going to name any names on this. So one of our guys gets in foul trouble, and Troy has yet to tell us you can shoot a three. So this he gets a guy off the bench coming in, and we're throwing the ball around. We're taking our time, trying to work for a good
Slow the
shot.
game down. Slow the
Slow
game
the
down.
game down. Keep their our best defense is not letting them have offense. And passing the ball around, and the guy that just come to the game, he's sitting around there around the 3-point line, around the perimeter, and we're just sitting there throwing the ball back, throw it to him, and there was a telltale sign when this guy was about to shoot. His feet would start just shuffling. How they didn't call walking on him because his feet shuffled every time. He launched that back, and I was like, no, no, no. Shoom. It goes off like one of those missiles, just like a missile going to it. Hits off the rim, no good. As soon as that happens, you look over the bench and Troy's like telling the guy in foul trouble, get back in the game. So, but yeah, I will never forget that year. That was, we didn't win the championship, but it was one of the seasons that I enjoyed most out there. And football has always been my love, but that ninth grade year of basketball, that was pretty awesome. I mean, sitting there watching some of them games where we got the jerseys that I think were the first jerseys that Northeast basketball teams ever had, without the Eagle logo on there, some of them. But yeah. It was terrible. But anyway, Troy moves on, and I got to get the background of this because I know you helped coach baseball for a little while with Mr. Wu Culpepper while we were there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wanted to coach baseball, and Wu Culpepper was coaching, and they were like, "Well, we got a coach. You can help him." So I was his assistant coach in 89,
Yeah.
89. And 90 comes around, and the softball position is open. So they asked me that I want to coach girls softball. I was like, yeah, I guess so. I'll do it. And that's how I got to how I got the girls softball job. I really was there to coach baseball,
Right.
but Wu was already there. So, that's how that story happened.
So and let me just say this. I'm not going to take any away from your coaching abilities, but I do remember every summer from the time I was like a teenager on going out to a ball field over at Bethlehem, and them girls, all of them girls that pretty much all of them girls that were on your softball team played all summer long, every
Oh,
summer
yeah.
softball. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, you,
Well, that was the best thing. Yeah, that was the best thing that
yeah,
happened to us. I mean, and I think Darrell Williams, and who was an assistant coach of mine, and Clifton Ricks and Johnny Bridges will all tell you that we had a great feeder program in Beth Elam, because when they got to us, we didn't have to show them a lot of stuff. They already knew how to run bases and do things. We refined it, especially defense. I mean, because I I was a defensive oriented coach, and but offense took care of itself. Um, but yeah, Beth Elam was very important in those 5 state championships.
yeah, they were real competitive out there. Even though they were like friends against friends, they were really competitive like that. I can remember several times going out to that ball field and watching those games, and I was like, "Dang, these girls kill each other. They're supposed to be friends."
Yeah,
but but yeah, getting back to that, your first year out there was that 1990.
1990. Yeah, um, that was a very hard year. We we ended up finishing fourth or third. Well, we got to the final four, and we lost in the semifinals of the state tournament. But um, they had to adjust to me, and
Mm-hmm.
um, that was a hard season, because it it took them a while to adjust to me. I mean, first practice, just a little story. Um, I'm hitting ground balls, just hitting ground balls to the infielders, or seeing who's the infielder, because I didn't know any of them, to be honest with you. Hitting ground balls and whatever, and after the practice was over with, I had three or four of the girls come up to me and said, "Look, you're hitting the ball too hard to us." And I was like, this is definitely not going to work for me, because I, my response was, well, does it get hit easy to you in the game? And
Yeah.
and they were like, well, that's the game. This is practice, and I never looked into that. That was the way you did it, and I think every girl from that year on to the last inning I coached, they got balls hit hard to them, because they were going to get it in the game.
Well, here's the thing about that, and I'll go back to somebody that coached me in football. We played first game of the year while when he coached us was always a team that was rough. Uh, and I remember my junior year we played that team Brunswick Academy in Virginia, and they were stacked. I mean loaded, and they beat the crap out of us. They hit hard. I mean you felt it all weekend. That and going to the next game against Hobgood, and we're playing right with them. We're winning. We won that game, but at halftime he looked at us and said, "Does anybody out there on that field hit you harder than what you got hit last week?"
Yeah,
And I was like, "No, he's right." So I mean, so you get hit hard, get balls hit hard to you in practice. If it doesn't come hard to you, at least you're ready for it. You don't never
yeah.
know what kind of girl you might be going up against. Let me ask you this: going from coaching, tell me the difference from going coaching a bunch of boys, a bunch of teenage boys, to coaching teenage girls. How big of a difference and an adjustment did you have to make doing that?
It was an adjustment. I mean, I mean, I think I still had the same mentality with the girls. I mean, I wanted them to be successful, and we wanted to win. Um, I guess the biggest thing, and if any of my girls are listening right now, what was one word that we didn't want to hear during softball season? And I'm pretty sure they'll chime in. We had girls were a little different. There was things that you know uh, that kind of, did we get the
Prom.
word? Did we get
Karen
the
said
word?
Karen prom.
Yeah, we did. I didn't want to hear the word prom. I didn't want to hear the word. I didn't want to hear the word tanning bed. I didn't want to hear the
Oh
word
yeah.
nails. You know, the prom comes right in the middle of softball season,
Yeah.
and I couldn't stand it because I did not have their undivided attention when prom was coming around. But I'm lucky to have been a part of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and I've said this for years. For somebody that took a program that hadn't had that much success and turn it into, winning half of a decade state championship, it doesn't get talked about enough with you. And I've talked to people about it. I've talked to people in the NCISAA about it. I was like, this guy won 5 state championships in 10 years, and nothing is really talked about with him. And I mean, I know how you coached me. I know how you gave me that confidence that I didn't have in basketball. And watching the first game I played that year, the first game I watch it and I'm like, holy crap! Because I'm sitting there looking like I'm scared to even move when I catch the ball. I mean, I'm not even moving my feet. I'm just turning completely around with my body and throwing the ball to somebody. But that changed over the end. I appreciate that from you. Um, but yeah, go take us to that next year because I believe '91 was the first state championship. My senior year, I
yeah,
believe that was the first state championship, and you guys were stacked. I mean,
yeah.
you had hitters, you had a pitcher that could pitch lights out. Um, talk a little bit about that first state championship team.
Yeah, that was a good that was a really good team for 2 years. We won 2 years in a row, 91 and 92, and that for 2 years we were 34-1.
Wow.
For our record was 34-1
Who
over
was it
two
one
years.
lost to?
We lost to
Was it
I want
Cape
to say
Fear
we
or
lost to
Bucko?
Cape Fear. We lost to Cape Fear Christian in an Easter tournament maybe, and who did we actually in 90 and that was in 92. In 91 we beat Cape Fear Christian for the state
Yeah.
championship, and then come back and we were undefeated in 91. 92 we came back and we played Cape Fear Christian in an Easter tournament at Infield Academy, and we lost to them. And I think that was probably the best thing that ever happened to us,
Right.
was losing that game. Because I think at the time we were probably 20-0, 21-0, something like that. And we lost to Cape Fear. We make it, we go to the state playoffs again. We make it to the state championship game, and who's there? Cape Fear Christian. And we ended up sweeping them 2-0 in the championship series, and won the second state championship. Darrell Williams was with me in 92. He was my assistant coach in 92. Johnny Bridges was my assistant coach in 91.
Yeah.
And then Wu left. And so Johnny
Johnny.
went and coached baseball. And did you play for Johnny, or were you
No,
gone by then?
my last year, my last year we had the late Chuck Norcross. Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
that was my senior year. But Johnny, I think Johnny came the year after that to
Yeah.
baseball.
Johnny came for a year, or went to baseball for a year, and Darrell came over, and that's where I met Darrell Williams.
And that turned into
Yeah, Darrell Williams. I was out there at school, and here's this guy comes walking up to me. I don't even know who he is, and he introduces himself and asked me, did he need any help? I didn't know who he was, and I said, yeah, I need some help. And well, the rest is history. But he actually coached with me that one year, won the state championship, and then he went and he coached baseball, and Johnny came back, and then it was Johnny and Clifton Clifton Ricks for the rest of the time.
yeah. Johnny got jealous of a state championship and wanted to come back. I hope he's listening. I hope he's listening.
I hope so too.
But I think I do remember. I think the '91 state championship was over. Was that over like the Easter holiday, and they had it at Halifax Academy?
It was at Halifax. It was a little later than, well, I don't know
We
how
were on
it,
some kind of break because I remember me and your brother and a couple others had gone to Raleigh and came back that afternoon. Went straight
right.
from Raleigh to Halifax to watch the game because
Yeah.
being there at that. I mean, that was really the first state championship I remember. It might have out of my whole Northeast time at Northeast was that was the only state championship I ever saw as a student there. So that was
Yeah.
big time then, and then to win it back to back. I mean, and you're sitting there thinking, okay, when is this gonna end? I mean, when is the you know? But these girls just kept. It was like you would just reload. I mean, you just
Yeah.
had talent. It kept coming and kept coming. And talk. I mean, '93. Did you one year did you guys make the state championship and didn't win it?
We in '93, let me see. Yeah, '93 we made it to the Final Four. We lost to Hobgood.
That's
Um
right. I do remember that now.
yeah, we lost to Hobgood, and then in '94 we made it back to the state championship game. And that was in '94, that was the only year that we didn't sweep them and won 2-0. Pungo, they actually won a game, and we ended up winning 2-1. But yeah, good teams,
Yeah,
excellent.
and you had some great players. I know you can't talk about each one of them. Who were some of those players like you knew when the times got tough and when you needed something to happen? Who were those players you went to?
Oh gosh, Kathy Jenkins. I mean,
AJ.
she was great. Sally Howe, Wendy Pope. I mean, uh, one of the best that ever come out of Northeast as far as I'm concerned as a softball player. Melissa Fly. Oh,
Yeah.
uh, unbelievable. I mean, I'll never forget when in '97 in the state tournament, which was held at Campbell University, she had 35 balls hit to her, and it was 35 outs.
Wow.
I mean, you know,
She's a
ne-
fly. I mean, it
yeah,
just
yeah, never
wasn't
misplayed
fair.
one. But I mean, it was. I mean, I can't really sit here and say there's certain girls because all of them
Right.
stepped up. I mean, it was.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I had a God. It's unbelievable the amount of unrecruited talent. I mean,
You hear that? Unrecruited talent. Hey, there's a lot going on with that right now. It has been. We
yeah,
talked about that before we came on the air tonight because that's big in the NCISAA right now. Uh, Matter of fact, Victory Christian Center School, which was me and Troy were talking about this. How many times do you see a boys and a girls team get number one seed in the state playoffs? Which I know state playoffs in basketball, especially, have changed a lot over the years to us. I mean, and no offense to anybody out there that's got a team in the state playoffs right now, because there's a lot of deserving teams out there that got there, but uh, state playoffs somehow have become like an invitation to where you got teams playing with two wins in the state playoffs. It makes no sense. But Victory had ineligible players that they somehow found out. It was last year and this year, and they had to forfeit. Was it a state championship last year?
I think it was. Yeah,
Yeah, so they had to forfeit all of those, and they couldn't play in the postseason, which I think it's about time the NCISAA crack down on some of that stuff because it's been going on. I mean, being a coach and seeing some of the things that I saw with teams that had no business having the players, they had 20-year-old running backs or stuff like that. It was ridiculous. So I'm glad they're finally doing that. But like you said, you coach with the hand you were dealt, and these
yeah,
girls that's what I always say. People ask me about recruiting, and I was like, no, whatever I get that comes out there is what I'm gonna deal with. Because these boys, for one thing, it's not fair to the kids that have been out there for that. Like if they've been out there from kindergarten and watching all these games and dreaming of being a player out there on that field, and then you bring some recruits in here, and these kids are sitting the bench. Not fair to them, but you had that, and it seemed like you just had a pipeline uh, going for a while there with this talent just kept coming up. Did you ever? I mean, after those first two, did you have any doubts? Like, okay, we may not get back to the state championship again. We've got to these two, but with losing some of those classes that you lost, like with this, let's say for instance, Sally Howe's class, you lose them. Now you've got talent there, but you're losing a big class there.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea that it would, maybe we're gonna be reloading this year, or just did you have that confidence that we could win it again this year?
There was some. I mean, I think any girl that played for us will tell you that.
Annette Riggs, homegrown, excellent players. You're exactly right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, day one when we started practice every year, we weren't talking about a conference championship. We were talking about a state championship. We never, that was our goal was the state championship. And I mean, there were years when, it wasn't many. I mean, out of the 10 years, we won 5 state championships, and out of 10 years altogether, we were 4th or better 8 of those 10 years. So, and a funny story, we it was 98. Kathy and I were dating, and we weren't married. And the first trip we went on was to the state softball tournament in Charlotte. If Clifton's listening, he'll remember this. We were the number 1 seed, ranked number 1 in the state. We had some injuries late. Carol Wynn got hurt, but she was still playing, but she wasn't 100%. And but after 4 or 5 innings we were playing Cape Fear Christian in the first game. After 4 or 5 innings, we were up by almost 10 runs and cruising. And all of a sudden, the wheels fell off. And we ended up losing to Cape Fear Christian in the top of the 7th, bottom of the 7th, whatever. We didn't push the runs across. And Cape Fear Christian, who was the number 8 seed, knocked us out. And they ended up eventually winning the state tournament that year.
Oh, wow.
And Kathy, bless her heart, she didn't know me very well, evidently, because we leave. The tournament was in Charlotte. We leave the ball field, and she's sitting over there. I'm driving, not saying a word, just stewing. And we go about 20 miles, and she says the most dreaded thing that any sports fan wants to hear. She says, "Well, it's just a game." I'm like,
oh God!
Oh no, she didn't just say that.
Oh God, Kathy, what were you thinking?
But that was the last time she ever said that one. But we could have easily had 6, maybe 7 in that 10 years, because just crazy things happen like that. I mean, we've never blown a lead like that. Never. I mean, it was almost like we just couldn't stop it from happening. I mean, if I look back on it today, I'm like, what could we have done different? And I don't know of a thing we could have done any different, But yeah, that was a year we let one get away. I mean,
that would haunt me right there, being up 10 runs and then lose it. That would haunt me. I know that sticks in your head to this day.
Yeah. We actually inquired with the umpire, the home plate umpire, was there a 10-run rule in the state tournament? I mean, because we were there.
Yeah.
He was like, no 10-run rule. And it wasn't. It's not a 10-run rule in the state tournament.
Why don't
But,
they have it? I would figure they would have it in the tournament more than they would a
they
regular
don't.
season.
They didn't. They didn't back then anyway. But yeah. But like I say,
Okay.
but wait. But there again, you got one like that. But then that we let get away. But then there's one that we probably shouldn't have won. Was in '97, I believe, at Campbell, and that was the same year that Melissa had 35 hit to her, 35 outs, and Lori Bryant pitched perfectly all weekend. But we went in ranked number 6 in the state. We were the 6th seed and ended up, winning the state championship that year. That was an unexpected one.
So you had the luxury of having some really, really good pitchers. I don't remember. I know you talked about Lori, you talked about Wendy. Who were some of the other pitchers you had?
You had Bridget Cornwell, I believe. I think that's Wendy.
Those
Pam
three?
Overton.
Yeah,
Was my
that's right. The
pitcher
first year.
the
Yeah.
first year. And then after that, Lori and Wendy and Bridget. I believe that covered all of it. We've talked about this before. If you were a girl and you came out for softball at Northeast from 1990 to the year 2000, if you played for 4 years, you were guaranteed basically 2 state championships.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
coming out. I mean, I don't remember how many of them it is now, but there's a lot of sisters that have
Yeah.
state championships.
I was just thinking about that.
Lots of sisters. I mean, it's probably a dozen, about 10 to a dozen.
Karen and her sister. That's what.
Yeah.
That's
Lori and Allison. I mean,
Yeah.
one that almost didn't happen was Elizabeth Beal and
Joanne.
Yeah. And see, that was a story in itself. In 99, the state tournament was at Chowan.
I think
And
this is the story I wanted to hear right here. I've heard this story.
yeah, the state tournament was at Chowan, and I always called up the 7th and 8th graders to varsity, during the state tournament. Give them some experience. They might run a base. They're probably not going to play. And we were tight on numbers that year. I think we had exactly 10, and we made it through the first day of the tournament, made it to the championship. We're playing Parrott, and got a phone call that morning before we were leaving to go that my catcher was sick and was not gonna play. So we get to the field, and I tell Joanne Beal, I said, "Have you ever played catcher before?" And she was like, eyes big as golf balls. She said, "No." And I said, "Well, I'm gonna need you to play catcher today."
in the state
state championship.
No pressure.
Yeah. And like I said, I think she was 8th grade. And
Yeah.
and to tell you what she did, how she responded, I think she went 4 for 7, 5 for 7, something like that.
Wow.
Had a couple of doubles. Threw a runner out at the plate. She tagged them out. I mean, she really had we had a unexpectedly, she was an unexpected surprise, and she was a big part in us winning that state championship that day.
It's stories like that. I mean, and being a coach now, I can go back, and you're probably the same way. There's stuff that I have a hard time remembering, like what I'm supposed to get from the grocery store. But if you ask me something about one of them memorable games like that, I can tell you every play that's going to happen. And just like we talked about earlier with some of the memories of you coaching me, but talk about what going from slow pitch to fast pitch. Your thoughts on that? Because I think we've talked about that before. Me and you have talked about that before. What's your thoughts on that?
I was well, I was planning on getting out before that ever happened. Because I felt like I didn't know how to teach the game. I didn't know the pitching and the catching as far as
Right.
how all that worked. And I felt like that it would be unfair to the girls to have a coach that didn't know how to coach it. So the year we won in '99, we won the state tournament that was held at Chowan, and we didn't have a senior on the team. There was
Wow.
there were no seniors on that team, so everybody was coming back. Well, it was already in the NCISAA handbook that softball was going to start going fast pitch in 2001. And I believe to this day, and Clifton Ricks believes it, and Johnny Bridges believes it too, that after they saw what we did at Chowan and won that state championship with no seniors, they pushed fast pitch up a year because they knew what was coming next year was the same thing that they saw in '99. So they went fast pitch in 2000, and Johnny, Clifton, and myself, we did come back for that year, and we ended up making it to the Final Four, even in fast pitch. But we ended up losing to Lawrence, who had a good pitcher and a good catcher. That's all you needed back then, was a good pitcher and catcher. But we still made it to the Final Four, and that I didn't enjoy it, and I felt like I was cheating the girls, so I felt like it was time for me to go. So that was the end of it for me.
I just feel like, and I ain't saying this to be funny or anything, but this is like some freaking Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson, Last Dance stuff here. Sitting here talking about, stepping away from the game, having one more year like that. But I mean, it's just like I said, guys. You don't see many private school programs, especially with. I've been at Northeast. God knows when from the time I was able to walk when my dad worked over at Northeast, I've been over there roaming the sidelines one way or another. You don't see many over there at that school with a get a program like he had at that time with the amount of kids that we have over there. Because 91, the enrollment over there was in kindergarten through 12th was just over 100. If not, it may be less than 100.
Look, I was on the school board that year,
Yeah.
and we had a vote a week before school started as to whether we were going to open school or not because there just wasn't enough kids. Yeah.
And to take and it, that's what is so impressive about this is the fact that you didn't have the big pool to pull from. You couldn't say, okay, we can cut people. I remember getting asked as a coach. We played God, what was that team? I can't remember the name of the team. It was their first year playing football. And before the game, the coach was talking to me, and they had 8 man. They had over 30 players on that team. And he said, "Yeah, we had about 55 come out. We had to cut 20." He said, "How many did you guys have to cut?" I was like, "None." And he was like, "What?" I said, "If you come out, you're on the team. We don't have tryouts. We don't have cuts." And I like it that way too, Troy, because a lot of these kids, including myself as a player, I would have never had the chance to play football like I love to do. Because I mean, this is a kid, and I'm not afraid to say this. I was told by somebody when I was a kid, when I was like 7 or 8 years old, if I ate wild onions out of the yard, I would be a great football player. And first thing I did was I grabbed a handful of wild onions and started putting it in my mouth because that's all I wanted. But that Northeast gave me the chance to do that, and I think it gave, especially with this team, with these teams that you had, these girls showed a lot of teams that are a lot bigger. That was the thing too. putting it to these teams that were a lot bigger than Northeast, and going out there and smoking them and winning the state championship with little old Northeast is up there, little old Northeast, but it turned into we don't want to play Northeast. We don't want to play Northeast. But man, I like I said, you don't get, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up your butt or anything, but uh, you don't get the proper recognition that you should as far as being a coach like that. I mean, it's respect coming from me because I got what 3 championships in the 18 years I was like that. I know how hard that was to get 5 in 10 years. Man, my hat's off to you. Nothing but respect for you there.
Appreciate it.
I know I got some girls out there watching. I know Karen, and I know Lori liked the. I don't know who else is out there, but t- before we get out of here, and I know if you got any more stories, is there any more stories you got that you want to, or is it maybe there's some you don't want to talk about?
No, I mean, I appreciate what you said, but I think the thing that bothers me the most is not about me, but the girls never got their just due either. I mean, there was
I
never
agree.
a halftime in a basketball game the following year that they pulled everybody out and said, these are your state champions, and there was never anything. And look, if it wasn't for Cal Bryant, who covered us in the newspaper, who would have even known a lot about what we were doing?
Cal
I mean,
Bryant, Cal Bryant. I'll say this: through the years coaching, Cal Bryant, and when Jonas Pope was here, he wasn't around. He hadn't graduated high school when you went through your. But between them two, they were a big time friends in Northeast.
yeah,
As far as
yeah, they
coverage
were.
goes, they didn't have to be, but um, gosh, it was something. Well, you know what should happen if 91 the first year.
90 was the first year. Well, 91 was the first state championship. Yeah.
Okay, so 35th anniversary. I know we got some girls out there listening and some people out there listening that could make things happen. Softball seasons get ready to happen. There needs to be some kind of recognition at a softball game or for the start of this, this, and I'm not afraid to say this dynasty, this Northeast softball dynasty that was around. There needs to be some kind of recognition because when you got teams that win one championship that get recognized. These teams, and I don't know how many girls you coached. You ever counted how many girls you coached out there?
It's no
All these
telling.
girls that put the hard work in. That Melissa Fly, Troy was the very best. Yeah. So it need with teams that just win one championship. These teams need to be recognized. And one of the things I got a biggest kick out of was when you gave me, and the way this all started, getting him on here, was when he came to me about converting an old VHS tape of the Run It Rapid Superstation, channel 30, I think it was channel 36, doing two, it was two different segments on, was it 95 and 97 that they did on?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think 97 and 99, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, it was not. I know 97 was one of them because we lost in 96 and we probably should have won it. And that was when we did the old T-shirts with unfinished business wrote on the back of them.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that was we actually went there. This is a funny story. A lot of people don't know. We went to the TV station. The girls will remember this. We went to the TV station to tape it because, yeah, we went to the TV station to tape the episode and did the episode, the 30-minute show. We leave and all of us decide we're going to go and eat dinner together. And I don't forget where we ate dinner on Rapids. And they were going to air it later on that night. Well, we're in the restaurant and I don't even know how they tracked us down because I don't remember if there were cell phones back then.
Probably
But
not.
but they tracked us down that the tape didn't take.
Oh wow.
So they didn't have it. So they wanted us all to come back, and they wanted us back by a certain time that they were going to air the show, and we did it live.
Jeez.
The second time through, which it was easier for me because every question he asked me I already knew.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah. That took kind of the pressure off there.
but yeah, so that was a funny story with that one was that we actually had to do it twice. But yeah, but like I said, we had a lot of good girls. I mean, you talk about a dynasty or so many girls coming up the pipeline, but a lot of people don't know this, but myself, Pamela Tudor, and the late Gwen Warren, we started a JV softball program. There was no JV
Yeah.
softball program.
Yep.
And when we first started it, we didn't call it JV softball. We called it an instructional league because there were no grades. It wasn't just 7th, 8th, and 9th grade as JV. I had some girls that probably, they weren't getting a lot of playing time in varsity as 10th graders or 11th graders. So they actually played in that instructional league as well to get more playing time. And
That's a good
but
idea.
that's how JV softball got started at Northeast, was because of that little instructional league that we began. Because we had girls that when they came to us as freshmen, I mean, Johnny, Daryl, Clifton. I mean, we worked with them, and you could see them getting better and better, and they were so patient, so patient. I mean, a lot of them sat the bench for 2 years because there was so much talent
Yeah.
ahead of them, and they were patient enough to when they got their turn, they produced,
We got a comment coming up here. Might be a good idea right here. An NEA softball alumni tournament.
Whew.
I don't know what Megan. You were just like, oh. By the way, Megan is the 2-year-old daughter that threw the better pass than me.
Yeah,
By the way,
yeah.
I haven't told that
Hold on.
story though. I haven't told that story.
No,
though.
you hadn't told it.
Okay, so talking about that 9th grade year, we except for Halifax, we were beating everybody in the conference. We were the number 2 seed. We played a team the first round of the playoffs that was the last seed in the playoffs because I think Halifax got a bye. And they had this one kid, I'll never forget his name, Roy. Remember him, Troy? Ward number 24. I'll never forget him because he was the only thing that Warren had. So we go out there, and I'm not afraid to tell you, we went out there, we came into this game, and just like we're already looking at Halifax. We're already looking at the championship game because we just know we're gonna walk all over Warren. And we come out and we're just showing our butt out there the first half. And you come to between the first and second quarter, and that end of the first quarter, we're like, oh God, they're right with us. I mean, they're playing neck and neck. We're winning, but they're right there with us. And then I steal the ball. And one of my guys breaks ahead from me, and I'm just like, okay, watch this. Shoot, I just do this, trying to be this fancy pass, and that Roy guy he comes out of nowhere and just takes it away. So halftime, we're up maybe 2 points, and we should be beating this crowd. This is a team that we beat by like 20 both games we played them during the season. And when we get into the locker room, and it's Troy, we didn't see Troy mad a whole lot that year. But this night we saw Troy mad at halftime. He went right down the list of every starter. And I was just like, God, he's going to talk about the pass. He's going to talk about the pass. And all of a sudden I hear, and Stevie Fly, my 2-year-old daughter could have threw a better pass now. What was that crap? And I'm like, oh gosh. So we go out the second half, and we we pull ahead from. We we needed that. I think we needed that because we won a close game against Hobgood the next round, and then of course we played tough with Halifax, but we ended up losing. But yeah, I mean, what a great season that was. It was fun. The whole thing was fun. But
Well,
yeah,
I'll
Megan was a 2 year old daughter, by the way.
yeah, that was it. I'll tell you a good story about basketball, and this shows you my my true coaching ability for basketball, which I don't think I had a whole lot, but it was I was still coaching JV, and I want to say Chad Smith, Mason Taylor, that
Pete Van,
crowd. Yeah, they were play. That was their JV year, and we were playing Halifax Academy, and it was a home game. At halftime, we were down by 19 at the half, and went in the locker room. I was so upset. I went in there. So I tell you what, I said, I'm not coaching the second half. Y'all do what you want to do. I said, do what you want to do. I don't care. I said, if somebody wants to go in, go in. I'm not even going to, I don't care. I don't care. Um, when the game was over, we won by 2.
yeah, that's and I'm
It
sure
was,
you
it was,
everybody
it
was
was, it
like,
was
good
funny
job,
after,
Troy. Good
yeah, it
job,
was
Troy.
funny afterwards when I went out in the cafeteria and all the parents were patting me on the back. Good job getting them back in the game, and good job coming back. I said, if y'all only knew, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
But
I had a similar thing happen. The first year I coached varsity football, we're playing at Hobgood, and we haven't won it. We're 0-2, and it's neck and neck with Hobgood, and we get backed up in our own end zone, and we have to punt. Well, Trey Futrell, at the time, he was a freshman, and he had to, for some reason, he had to punt that night. And the first time I made the mistake, but thank God I did. I sent another play out on the field. I miscounted. We had 9 players on the field, and they said back them up, make them punt again. So Trey's in his own end zone. It's like 4th and 20, and I look up. The snap comes, and I look up, and here comes Trey running around the right end, and I'm like, oh my God. Trey ends up getting on 4th and 20, gets 21 yards. And he comes up to me and he comes off the field. I hugged him. I said, dude, don't ever do that crap again. But after the game, we end up winning by 10. And after the game, Brandon Lanier, Monty Tudor, the Hobgood coaches, Brandon comes up to me and said, what was the deal with that calling that fake punt on 4th and 20? I said, heck yeah, dude. Don't you? I got nothing to lose. I got balls of steel up here, dude. I called it to this day. And Brandon, if Brandon's watching, he probably is finding out now. I didn't call that. That was Trey, totally Trey. But yeah, Betsy Gay. There's another one of your players chiming in. And I'll say this: playing sports. And these kids, and I know some kids have got reasons for not playing. But let me tell you this: the best part, and I know you go to school to get an education on that, but the best part, 80 and 90% of the stories that I remember from high school are some athletic, sports related, or something that
Yeah,
happened at a
yeah.
game, something that happened at practice. It's an experience like, I mean, football, like I said, was my love, and there may have been players on that team I didn't like, but Friday night, you were my brother for
Oh
48
yeah.
minutes,
Oh yeah.
and for the kids that don't play, give it a chance. Give it a chance, guys, because
Well,
it's something.
you learn so much. I mean,
Yes,
you learn a lot about life. You learn to be on time.
yep,
You learn to work with others.
responsibility.
You're responsible for your job. You work with others to get to a common goal. And even I'm 60. I just turned 62 last week, and you know, I s- I they don't know it, but I still look at them from afar. A lot of my girls, because you know, so many of them have got great jobs, And I think maybe me and Johnny and Clifton and Daryl, maybe we did something right other than winning state championships. I mean, maybe we instilled that ethic in them for them to succeed in life. And that's just as important as 5 state championships.
One thing that I'll always remember from my coaching, and one of the best players I ever coached was Matt Little. And my daughter was in school then. She comes home with her annual, his senior year. And one of the things he left in his last will and testament was thanking me for not only being a good coach, but for teaching me life lessons that'll get me ahead. And that meant more than anything right there. I mean,
Exactly.
to hear one of them say that, because it's not all about, you want to win. Yes, you want to win, but you also want to teach them respect. Don't, it's just, and looking out for somebody else too, not letting
Exactly.
your teammate down,
Right.
doing your job. That's what I always used to tell them. You do your job and they do their job. You can't lose. You're not
Right.
going to lose.
Yeah.
But I got to tell this story too. This is not Northeast related, but this is something me and Daryl Williams have been talking about for years. About there's going to be a 30 for 30 on one of the best summer league basketball teams Northeast ever saw, the TD Sports.
Oh,
TD Sports. This was back when Northeast had a summer league, summer basketball league, and they were getting guys. I mean, guys that we had no business being on the floor with, teams that we
no,
had no business.
no.
And this was a team. I think it was 6 of us, 7. It was 7, 7 of us.
Yeah.
And this was a team we had no business playing. We couldn't hang with them. But third quarter of the game, me and Daryl Williams are out there, or we're on the bench, and we're just watching, and these guys are just slamming left, slamming right. All of a sudden, Daryl Williams walks out on the court. And I'm like, what the heck? There's 6 of us out there on the court right now. And
Yep.
the referees, I'm not going to say their name, Johnny Brown, Moochie Joyner,
Yep.
didn't think to count our players. And Daryl's just over there at me. Come on out here. They ain't even counting. Which it didn't make any difference. These guys were
No.
killing us anyway.
We could have had 10 out there and it wouldn't have made a difference.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
would have made a bit of difference. But finally, I think Johnny Brown finally started counting, because there were 7 of us, all 7 of us. I think he looked at the bench and saw there was nobody on the bench, and then he started counting in, and we got a technical report. But me and Daryl Williams talked about there needs to be a 30 for 30 on the TD Sports Summer League teams, because
Yeah.
we had some good time. But,
Yeah, we
but
did.
like I said, Troy, before we get out of here, I just want to say, you and those girls, and I'll say those girls too, because those girls worked their butt off. I know a lot of those girls. I've talked to a lot of those girls about this, and they need more recognition than what they've got.
They
I mean,
did.
you see a couple of the players. I think maybe 3 of the players got pictures in the lunchroom at Northeast, but how about team pictures out there? How about something like that for these girls? Because they did something, and to my knowledge, has there been any period of time in any sport like that with Northeast? I don't think so. No. So Northeast, I'm just somebody that's been around Northeast over half of my life, and I know I ain't got anything in there, but something needs to be somehow, some way. These girls and Troy need to be recognized, because that was
And my other coaches. I mean,
yes.
yeah, Johnny and
Maybe not Daryl Williams, but
yeah. Well, we'll let Daryl Williams in there. We'll let Daryl Williams in there. But no, I mean, Daryl was a great.
The teams need to be recognized. Coaches
Yeah.
and the
The
teams need to be recognized.
whole thing. But Daryl was a great help to me, and we got along great. And Clifton and Johnny, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
A lot of teams were at a disadvantage already because myself, Clifton, and Johnny probably had 75 years of softball experience, and a lot of coaches just didn't have that. I mean, Johnny and Clifton have seen everything. I mean, probably of the 3, I was the least qualified to be to be coaching. I mean, both of them were. I mean, I was a small child when Johnny and Clifton were playing
Yeah.
adult softball, so that tells you right there they didn't catch that jab. But
I called it.
yeah, but we got along great. I mean, and I don't ever remember any of us ever getting upset with the other one because we didn't agree with something. We always agreed, and we all had a job. Johnny Bridges was pitching coach. He was probably the best slow pitch pitcher that I ever remember coming out of this area, and was still pitching not that many years ago. And Clifton was very good at scouting oppositions and moving players. I mean, if Clifton told somebody to move to the left or move to the right, I'd never question it because he knew what he was doing. And
Yeah.
I think we all complimented each other very well. And we couldn't have done it without everybody, including the players, coaches, the whole 9 yards.
I think Annette saying that Clifton caught on to the jab there. Anyway, before we get out of here, and I've enjoyed this. I always enjoy talking to Troy. One more thing we got to talk about though, and this will probably get us in trouble nowadays if we do it after practice, JV basketball practice, lights out, bunkhouse match. With weightlifting belts. So I will never forget that. I had such a fun year that year. That was just so fun for me. But before we get out of here, since Troy's never been on here before, and I warned him about this the other day, I'm going to start calling it the unofficial drink of the Final Score, Powerade. The Powerade 2-minute drill. So Powerade, if you're out there listening, become a sponsor. We need you as a sponsor. So the 2-minute drill. I'm going to put you on the clock. You ready?
All right, let's go.
Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi, every morning.
Beach or lake?
Say that one again.
Beach or lake? Which one would you rather go to?
Beach.
Favorite sports team?
Carolina Hurricanes.
That's 2 nights in a row when somebody says that. Favorite meal?
Steak and a baked potato.
I figured you were going to say Happy Meal from McDonald's, and many times you got Kathy that for
Valentine's. No.
Favorite movie?
For Love of the Game.
Oh, okay. The first sporting event you ever remember going to? It's got to be a race.
Rockingham, when I was a little kid, maybe 10.
And I got to throw an extra that usually is not on the 2-minute drill. Favorite NASCAR driver of all time?
Bobby Allison.
Good.
Dale Earnhardt's very close second.
Bobby Allison, I remember, what was it, the 22 gold Miller Lite car?
Yeah.
Bobby Allison was one of my favorites because I always remember your brother in like 4th or 5th grade coming to school on like a Monday after the weekend and bringing one of the NASCAR programs he had gone to the race or something, bringing it to school. We'd always look at the cars in there. Favorite TV show?
Seinfeld.
All right. Favorite music group or artist? This is going to be a good one right here.
Garth Brooks.
Oh, okay. I figured he was going to go back to some 80s stuff there.
Yeah.
What was the first concert you ever remember going to?
You'll never believe this. Kiss.
Where did
you see Kiss
that?
at the Greensboro Coliseum. I bet I was maybe 13 years old. Went on a charter bus that somebody chartered around here.
Wow!
I can't believe my mama let me go.
At 13, yeah.
13. Yeah.
Favorite athlete?
That's a tough one. I was always a Roger Staubach fan.
Yeah. Okay, I got you there. And this, besides, how do I put this? Because I know it's hard to pick. This will be like picking your kid's favorite sports memory that you had while coaching. But what's one of your favorite memories of coaching? Favorite memories you have with that those softball teams.
Probably, um, probably the year '92. Uh, we won the first game 8-5 against Cape Fear Christian. The second game, where Darrell Williams was coaching with me at this time. The second game, bottom of the seventh, is 6-6, and there was no reentry rule back then. Wendy Pope was on second base with 2 outs. Elizabeth Beal comes up to bat.
I think I remember it.
I debated taking Wendy out and putting a faster runner in case Elizabeth got a hit, but then I wouldn't have had a pitcher. So I left Wendy in with all her speed, and Elizabeth stroked one to right center field, and I waved Wendy home, and she would have been dead by 5 steps, and the pitcher cut the ball, and Wendy, the ball never made it to home plate. The pitcher cut it for some reason, and Wendy scored, and we won the state tournament 7-6.
Wow, that's awesome right there. Megan saying maybe your favorite meal was corned beef hash.
Yeah, I do like corned beef hash. I didn't. I will say that she didn't like it. She don't like it, but hey,
I'm not a fan of it either. I'll go right in there with you, Megan. But Troy, guys, if you want to see the video of the Run It Rapid Superstation presentation of the softball teams, you can go to the Final Score YouTube channel. It's up there. It's on my Facebook. You can find it there. While you're over there, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you're so inclined to, guys, if you could listen to the podcast, give us a 5-star review. It's free. It takes you about 2 or 3 minutes at the most. You don't have to. That helps me out a lot. But Troy, I know we've been talking about this for a while, man. And I appreciate you coming on. And like I said, we're gonna try. And some of you girls out there, Lori, I know you're listening. Betsy, I know you're listening. We need to make something happen for these teams, whether we got to do it on our own or with Northeast involved. But I would love to have Northeast involved in it. But Troy, like I said, congratulations on a great job. And it's way too late to say congratulations, but congratulations on a great job coaching. And thank you for coaching me and giving me that confidence, because I haven't said that over the years to you, but that gave me a lot of confidence the way you showed that in my 9th grade year coming up. I want the best. Lord, we had plenty of scorers on that team, so I didn't get between Robbie and Darrell, and then that other guy taking the 3-pointers when he was supposed to. But anyway, a lot of great memories talked about tonight, guys. But Troy, thank you again for coming on. You guys, Lori, so many people here tonight. Annette Ricks, Megan, Betsy, Karen, Melissa, some lady, I don't know this lady, Kay Carfoot. You know her?
Yeah, that's my sister-in-law, my sweet sister-in-law.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for watching, guys. And you can check us out. If you missed it, check it out on your YouTube channel or listen to it on wherever you stream your podcast at. All right, guys. We will be here again tomorrow night. This is the third night in a row for me. We will be talking with a friend, another podcaster of mine, and I'm trying to get every NFL team, a fan of every NFL team, to do a top 10 favorite NFL players with. Tomorrow night, it's going to be a struggle for me. Cincinnati Bengals. Not quite as bad as the Baltimore Ravens, but it's there. It's there. It's going to be tough for me. But you guys have a great night. Thanks again, Troy, and we'll see you next time on the Final Score.